Hey guys, Dr. Steve here. I want to keep this a little bit brief in the sense of if you've been struggling in different relationships, there's different tiers in terms of how you function in relationship. And for this video, I just wanted to connect with something that is very, very common that I see in my coaching clients. And it's the inevitable should I stay or should I go scenario. And I think it's important to note that when you're trying to make a decision on whether to stay or go, the likelihood of you actually being in a disempowered position is probably the reason that you're asking whether you should stay or whether you should go. If you're in an empowered position, if you're in an empowered state of being, you've already kind of like made the decision. You've already know how to move on it. If you're in a disempowered position, you're asking the question, you're confused as should I stay or should I go? There's really no draw for a compelling future. You're kind of oscillating between right and wrong, oscillating between good and bad, and oscillating between the pros and cons of leaving or staying. And so you just still have like unresolved issues, unresolved energy that is conflicting and confusing you internally. And I'll tell you, um, I was just working actually with a woman about this particular thing a couple of days ago. And I had her draw out um, two circles between her and her mate. And so she drew I drew a circle on my whiteboard, and so it was, let's say, about this big. And I said, okay, well, this is him. This is the size of him right here. Where would you put yourself right now in this kind of confused state, figuring out what you should be doing? And so she was, he was about this big. And then when she drew her little circle, was about like this big, like, I mean, this big relative to this big. And she was off in a little corner. Um, and and I'm just like, there's no place to be making a decision. Like your worth relative to him, how you see yourself relative to him, your level of connection within your own being, your sense of self-worth is not at a high point right now. And so you're definitely not in a state to make decisions about a big thing like a relationship. So, um, so we took one major step, which was up leveling her value. That was an important step for her. And I would say, like, for most people, starting off on the earliest parts of their journey in terms of, sorting through relationship dynamics. My parents, divorced. They did no, I'm sure, no self-value work. They did no introspective work. Most decisions of that magnitude are made purely on, mostly emotion for the most part, and mostly about what I don't like about the relationship. So then I'm out. And if I don't see an end to this particular experience or this behavior, I'm out. So there's no point in sticking around for the long haul. So when I work with people, it's important that they like you at least, I mean, divorce, breaking up relationships. I mean, it's not right or wrong to do either. It's just on the other side of that, um, the elusive chase for freedom. On the other side of that, when you get in a new relationship down the road, you're going to be essentially going through similar things. Yeah. And if you don't learn actually just how to ask the right questions in this relationship, what makes you think you're going to be able to ask the right questions in the next relationship? It's not true. I mean, the same true is things in our business. Like, if I can't ask the right questions in this business, I'm not going to start a new business and ask the right questions. I still need to learn how to ask the right questions. So in relationships, the same thing. You need to learn how to ask the right questions. So the first is, do you actually have the capacity to value someone? Like, actually, do you do that? Can you do that? Because in your biased, emotionally charged state, um, subcortically running your brain, in your nervous system, your fight or flight response geared up, you're looking at that person as a challenge, and you're looking at them from a slant that you kind of devalued them in your mind, and you don't like what they're doing, or you think they should be doing something different, and yada yada yada. And I get it. Just the mechanics I want you to kind of hear is unless you have a skill set to be able to value someone and know how to answer that question, no matter who you get with down the road, you're still not going to be able to ask that question and discover the right and discover the answers of that, to reveal, to unweave your belief systems about somebody. It's a necessary skill. And so I brought her through a first process, took about 90 minutes. And all I did was just ask her all the ways in which he brings value to the relationship, all the ways in which she brings value. And we go down this beautiful, beautiful list of ways that he brings value. And she remembers all these wonderfully deep moments of care that he brings to the relationship. And that's important, to be able to appreciate him in his values, in his light. Okay. So then the second part is, anytime you're stuck like that in a, should I do this or that? The second thing is that, so the first, let me back up for a second, is like, you're stuck in this box and she's stuck in this box of thought. So the first thing that I'm having her do is not to think about the future. Pause that for a second. Let's first appreciate the box that you're in, meaning him and you. Can we do that? Do we have the skill set to appreciate? Okay, so the first part, we take about 90 minutes and unravel that. The second half of our time together, which took about maybe a couple hours, is we went through, we looked at all the ways that he was valuable, and then we looked at all the ways that she was valuable to him. All the way she was valuable when he took her on trips, all the way that she was valuable when he brought her on to a house, bought her a vehicle, all the ways that she brought value. So we created a equal force, or pretty close to an equal force of value that that she brings to the unique relationship. And that is important because the quest, if you want to read about equity theory, the quest for equanimity in a relationship is the most emotionally stable and the most healthy and the most real, the most honest, that each person has value. And so what we did was we stacked up for about 2 hours all the ways that she brought value to a relationship, to that relationship in particular. And so when we went through all the list and ways in which she brought value to the relationship, because he didn't have a family, so she brought kids and she brought grandkids and allowed him to be a dad. We went through a whole host of things that she, a lot of things that she brought value to. And so when we were done doing this particular exercise, and I said, draw the circles. Where do you kind of see that you're at? And she drew him like here, and then hers was just a little bit smaller, and just a little bit distant away from his, but they were pretty close. And so we could see that his value and her value were really starting to intersect and expand from where we started out. His was a big circle here, hers was a tiny little one here in the top corner. And it looked like a mess, and it was a mess. And then we reorientated her perception to see herself almost, not quite yet. We have 4 sessions we're going to be working on, but almost the equal amount of value between the two of them. Not fully connected yet, not fully there yet, but at the same time, much value and worth was upgraded. And just thinking about she wrote a text, and so it was, I definitely feel that I'm equal in our relationship, that I add value to our home as well as to our relationship. I just never really thought of myself as his equal that way. And so it puts me at ease. I think it's the truthfulness or the honesty that have mostly the hardest time with. And that kind of keeps me out of my heart, so to speak. So she definitely feels more deserving and equal. So, now we're working more to a place And she didn't even mention about should I stay or should I go, because that's going to start to change as she starts to become more equalized. As soon as we achieve equanimity within this relationship, she'll have a sense of where the next move is. She won't have to question it. She'll just sense it and move on it. But until we get those circles touching and same size, which we will, there's just still a little bit of distortion in that relationship. So we need to up her value a little bit more, and we need to bring her a little bit more close together. There's still some pieces that keep her slightly on edge or slightly repulsed from him. So we're going to bring that and just attract her a little bit more to him so that they kind of, those circles are touching edges. The point to this being is that if you're in this should I stay or should I go, if you're feeling the anxieties of that decision making process and the relationships, just know that you're framed inside a specific box of viewing something a certain way. And what I could encourage you to do is the first freaking step to do is to learn and train yourself how to appreciate the existing box that you're in. If you cannot do that, you cannot surrender. You cannot allow, you cannot bring energy to your existing life, to your existing day, because you're going to be dragged down with exhaustion because you feel like you're trapped in this box instead of actually appreciating the life that you've designed and the life that you've created. So that's definitely like, for people that are struggling in relationships, man, it's not about the other person to start. Like, it has nothing to do with them. It has to do with how you're perceiving the relationship. Yes, okay, I'm going to get things like he beat me, he punches me, he this. It's still not about him. It's still not about that. It's not about the circumstance. It's about first um, how you are perceiving it. And in this box, even if you are being abused, to be able to appreciate yourself and to appreciate the life that you're creating is a skill set that's going to have to follow you on the next one go around. And if you have an inability to appreciate the life that you have right at this second, then, and you can't do that, and you can't muster your way through it, believe me, you're not doing it in the next relationship. You're going to get infatuated by something when you go to the next relationship. You're going to get wowed and you're going to say, Steve, I can appreciate, but it's not appreciation. It's like hopefulness, new expectations you're creating. And as soon as those expectations crash, you're going to be screwed again. So my first thing is develop the art of being able to appreciate life as is. Then you can deal with stuff after that. If you can't appreciate life as is, you're sunk. It's just, doesn't work. You'll never achieve contentment. You will forever be miserable, and oscillating between happy, sad, happy, sad, happy, sad, happy, sad, happy, sad, and you'll never feel grounded in a particular dynamic. So appreciate them and appreciate you. Those are the first two steps of breaking free from stuck or blocked pieces in a relationship. And again, as craving as your mind might want to solve the external circumstances, it's not where you start. It's just not where you start. So that's all I have to say about that. Should I stay or should I go? Neither. Stop. Don't do that. Stop it. Don't think about that anymore. Don't try to make a decision about that anymore. Go and appreciate, deeply appreciate. I spent 3.5 hours with almost 4 hours with this woman on purely appreciating what was inside that box. And when I get the text the next day saying that life is better, that her sense of worth feels better, that she's more content, it's that's where you got to start. That's where you have to start. Otherwise, if you start from anywhere else, you're just going to be setting yourself up for repeating patterns. This woman's 60 years old. She's going to jump to another relationship. It's going to be the same old thing. If you're 30, 35 right now, if you're 28, if you're 34, whatever you're at right now, just start there. Just start. And that's a great regular practice to do, is to appreciate what's happening in your life. It prevents baggage from building up, and it gives you an inner authority to know that your life is being designed exactly the way that you want. You have some say over that. So good luck with that, and hopefully this was helpful.